Welcome to the big show. Today we're going to talk about service department culture killers. Murder. What murders your culture more than anything else? It's a pretty good list. It's a lot of fun. And
we go down memory lane.
Tell some behind the scenes stories, and much, much more coming up on this edition of Service Drive Revolution. With Top Dog coming up, I always think about this thing that happens every time. And for anybody who doesn't know, Top Dog is our annual event here in Los Angeles at the library where our coaching clients and elite members come. We hang out for a couple days. It's actually, for us, it's a week of stuff because our coaches come in.
Yeah, that's just the end of it.
Then we have clients come in. So it's a whole week of not sleeping, basically.
Yeah.
We don't get a lot of sleep, but really fun. But every year, invariably, what happens is overwhelmingly people say this was the best Top Dog ever. Like,
people that have been to 4 or 5 will keep saying it.
Yeah.
So I feel like it's good data.
And so my question to you is, who has been or who have been your favorite speakers or favorite experiences at Top Dog? Let's just go down memory lane really quick.
Oh my gosh. There's a bunch.
And also you attended as a client.
And as a coach.
Because it was, yeah.
So let's start there. So my favorite experience was probably as a client for a multitude of reasons, but that was at Caesar's Palace in Las Vegas. And the reason, so there's some good speakers there for sure. I think you had a really good, profound thing. We had some really great workshops, but the reason that I really liked it the best is that was the year that we took all of the best advisors, and one of my advisors, Doug, who you know, came, and they were required to do a scavenger hunt where they were running around the hotel, basically all around like the strip, trying to do the scavenger hunt. And I'm sitting in a room going through a workshop on marketing, and I look over to my right, and I think Doug's wearing a woman's shirt. Like, there was just this craziness.
I think one of the things is you had to get somebody of the opposite sex to switch shirts with them.
Something like that, right? So if you met Doug, he's all business for the most part. Like, he was a really, really high performing advisor. He did a great job with his customers, built relationships, petting dogs, all those things. And then to see him get out of his shell a little bit and not take himself so seriously, and a bunch of other people that were just high performers, and that they were so comfortable that they did that. No one was forced to do it. They did it voluntarily. Like, that to me was one of the most impactful. Like, I'll never forget the way that I felt with that. So that was probably my favorite experience as far as that goes. There's a couple other ones where I would say that, and I hope that you agree with this too, but I thought the way that Andrew Bustamante, when he spoke a couple of years ago, I've never seen a man make our clients feel the way that he did.
Yeah. Have you been listening to his book?
I haven't started it yet, but I've got it.
Pretty great. I think it's called Sleeper Cell?
Shadow Cell?
Shadow Cell? Just go to Amazon and do Andrew Bustamante Shadow. It'll come up.
Yeah, but he hit New York Times and everything like that.
Yeah, he's New York Times.
So the way that he was when he was here, I thought that was amazing. Probably the biggest shocker to me.
Oh, hold on one second. Most charismatic person besides Bill Clinton.
Amazing.
Yeah, his charisma, and he's kind of proof that you can learn charisma. Like, a lot of it is from practice.
Yes. And yet, even though it's a learned trait, it doesn't feel calculated.
No. And he's always on.
Always on.
Like, one thing I love about Busta and Chase Hughes is they practice what they preach.
All the time.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. I think that's great. One of our surprising speakers that was not quite as good as Busta, but definitely had like an impact on our clients, Dog the Bounty Hunter.
Yeah, he was interesting.
Yeah, and he was super curious about people. Like he asked a lot of questions that he didn't have
stayed
to
until
ask.
the very end, taking pictures and signing stuff. Like he really cared about people.
Yep.
He knows his audience. Had to
That-
have bodyguards.
Yep.
He had to hire bodyguards for him.
That was the year we were in a movie theater,
Yeah.
and there was this huge line of people to take pictures with him, and he didn't quit until it was done. I thought that was really cool, and he also really liked you, and you guys definitely saw eye to eye on a lot of things.
He pulled out some funny stuff.
Yep. Let's see some.
It's always funny to me when people think that I agree with their point of view.
Will you sneakily stay in the middle? And if you stay,
because I'm more curious why people think the way they do, and if you said like, oh, that's bad, crazy, like, then they won't tell you why they think the way they do. But
I think that because your curiosity allows them to put their beliefs onto you, because you're not exuding any beliefs. You're not sharing your own beliefs. You're just trying to learn about theirs.
Yeah.
So they assume that because you keep letting them talk that you agree.
yeah, isn't that funny?
It's fascinating to
And
me.
also, like, just a little insight into the world we live in today is people expect you to flat out disagree and fight with them if you don't share the same point of view, right? Like they're assuming you agree with them because you haven't disagreed with them, which is kind of a funny thing.
Yeah.
And they never ask me. Like they never ask me what my point of view is, which I think is funny too.
They put it on you. They assume.
Yeah.
Dog's not the only one I've seen do that. I've seen a bunch of
I
people
know, it
do
happens
that.
all the time.
Yeah, it's pretty cool. So I really thought I was impressed with him. He exceeded my expectations. I've seen him talk a couple of times at Top Dog. Uncle Dave Anderson.
Yeah.
Always
Dave's
is really,
great.
really impactful. Like he was one of those people where he would say these things that you probably knew that you should be doing, but I was like, oh yeah, there's really no excuse. That's pretty dumb. One of my kind of all-time heroes with books, Cialdini. It was neat to hear him called Bob, right? Because it was just, I think of him as Dr. Robert Cialdini, who wrote the book, Principles of Influence. So I thought he was good.
That was a treat because he doesn't really speak.
Yeah, it didn't look like speaking in front of a group was his strong suit, but it was that much cooler to hear him talk and tell some
So
stories
sweet.
and everything like that. But yeah, I liked him a lot. Another sweet, sweet person. I thought Will Guidara was just when he was I think I probably liked him as much when he was a guest on our podcast, where I thought that was a really good, cool, genuine conversation. And then I kind of already liked him by the time he got in. So that was neat.
Yeah, very genuine guy.
Yeah.
And talented.
Do you have I don't want to say it wasn't good, but do you have anybody that didn't meet the expectations you thought that would put on a really good show?
People are going to hear this, Christian.
Yeah, so maybe you don't have to do that, I guess, but
The bar rescue, I forget his name.
John Taffer.
Taffer.
Yeah.
That was an interesting experience.
I think the problem with
I think people in the audience loved it.
They
It
did.
was weird from my perspective, but yeah, see, I don't know. So like we might say something, but the audience had a different experience than we did. Like, for example, the guy that was a speaker at our event that kind of cornered Will Guidara and was like, give me your phone number, and you're like, which has changed how we do the green room for speakers. We don't really intermix them anymore because if they're a big name, you don't want them attacked by somebody.
That's right.
And you don't want to put them in a position where they need to say no or, anything like that. Like I hate that when I get cornered and the people are like, oh, give me your number. Like, we're going to do this together. We're going to partner. And you're like, whoa, hold on.
Yeah. They also don't mean it. Those people never follow up. When you get cornered by those people, they just
Well, no, but I think it's our responsibility we would have never thought about that until it happened.
Yeah, so I'm
and
kind of
nobody in the audience knew that.
Yeah, nobody knew.
Nobody knew we were dealing with. Nobody knows some of the stuff we deal with behind the scenes because it's not
That's
not their problem.
backstage. That's right.
They're here to learn.
But yeah, I think the thing that Tafford's a really good example. Like the crowd was engaged. I think the only thing that was different was our expectation, right? Like he just he came in, he went, he did what he was supposed to do, and that was it. But you're right, the crowd had a different thing than we do.
I find one thing very interesting, and Andrew Bustamante was talking to me about this on Books That Changed My Life the other day. And what's funny is when you do some of these podcasts or you have people speak or whatever, how different people are when they're their character versus who they are really. And it's so Andrew brought that up, and we were both talking about the same person.
Yep.
Where like certain people are so much of a character and it's so different from who they really are. They have to be that character, but in being that character, you can't talk about anything else but the 12 chapters in their book. And they like their voice changes, their posture changes. It's like a weird thing where you're like, oh, I don't know. To me, it's so off-putting because I don't play a character. Like
Right.
I'm just who I am, good or bad. And so when somebody is playing a character and they're really successful too, like the person Busta was talking about is somebody who's like very well known. And I had an experience with that person where we were talking, and I thought like we were having like a real human conversation. And then when the cameras turned on, it like the voice changed, everything changed, and you could only talk about this little area of what his book was about. That was it. And it's kind of weird.
Yeah. It feels disingenuine.
Yeah, very much. But I think like when people say fake it until you make it, there genuinely are people that create a character and they're faking it until they make it. But the problem is if you make a character famous,
you're stuck.
That's how I would feel. Maybe they feel like, oh, I can turn it on and off, so I don't have to take it with me. I don't know. It's an odd way of doing things. Like, I think that's one of the things that people are surprised about when they come here is just how we're just dudes.
Yeah, like when we have dinner with them and we have the conversations and stuff.
They're almost disappointed how normal we are.
Maybe.
I mean, at least you have funny jokes. Like
I do.
I don't even have that. I'm just like, they can pet my beard and that's about it.
Yeah. I think
sorry to disappoint everybody.
I've witnessed where people asked, and you definitely say no.
To what?
To pet your beard.
Oh, do I?
Yeah, you told me once. You're like, I'm really uncomfortable that people would even ask. Because the funny thing is that I asked you that because I was about to ask.
If you can touch it?
Yeah, I've never touched your beard before. Like, we've known each other for a decade. I've never touched your beard. Oh, what's the most common thing that a pig uses in the shower?
What's the most common thing that a pig uses in a shower? I don't know.
Hogwash.
Oh, that's funny.
But yeah, so I'm
those
excited.
Are your favorites so far.
So those are my favorites, and I think the list keeps growing. There's never one where
How do you think Chris Voss will do? I've seen Chris Voss speak a bunch.
Yeah, so he's another guy that I anticipate, and I don't know, I've never met him before. I anticipate that he practices what he preaches.
Oh, yeah. Super genuine.
Yes. So I think that's the fact that connection's a big part of what he does, and just some of his theories and the way that he makes things that normally we would be emotional about scientific. He's right up my alley. Like, I could ask him a bunch of questions about sales. Like,
yeah.
I'd love to.
It's great.
I'd love to pick his brain.
Super fun. Well, this top dog is going to be one of those where everybody's going to walk away going, that's the best one ever.
Well, maybe by the time this airs, there's been a bunch of pre-registrations. Like when there was a month to go still before Top Dog, we had a bunch of people registered, and we get more every day. But you want to get punch your ticket as soon as you can. Come on out here to.
Oh, it's gonna get last year people got turned away, and it's gonna get capped.
Yeah,
it's first come first serve.
There's no doubt
for sure. Okay, let's talk about service department culture killers. I love this subject. I love talking about culture because most of the time people have culture wrong. They don't understand what culture is.
Hugs and hold hands.
Yeah, maybe explain to everybody what culture is before we go through the culture killers. What is culture, Christian? And it's not a pig in the shower.
Yes. Culture is law and order.
Unpack that.
So my favorite example that you give is you'll ask, why is America the best country in the world to live in? And everyone will say, because
growing up in Mexico, I had a different experience.
Yep.
I was a missionary as a kid in Mexico.
That's right. And people will say things, well, we got freedom here. We can vote. We can talk about whatever we want. But the real reason that this is one of the best countries in the world to live in is because we can walk down the street and for the most part be really comfortable that no one's going to walk up to us and shoot us in the face. So there's repercussions for our behaviors in this country. That's what makes it so wonderful, is the fact that there's a level of protection because we have rules that everyone has to abide by. And if you don't abide by the rules, there's consequences. And then to your point, where you grow up and you see things at 5 years old in Mexico that no human should ever have to see, is you talked about how someone would be dead on the street and they would sit there for 5 days. Like, it just was a thing that happened because there wasn't law and order.
Right. And it's sending a message.
That the preference is that they had to stay there,
Yeah.
right? So, I mean,
yeah, there has to be law and order.
there does.
There have to be rules, and you have to have what we call as a murder line.
Yep.
There has to be some point of, okay, this doesn't work anymore.
Yeah, and it's completely
You
non-negotiable.
can call it boundaries, you can call it whatever you want, but there has to be a murder line. And so when we talk about things that kill the culture, which when I ask people like, hey, what is culture? They usually get it wrong. And then I say, well, what's the opposite of culture? And then they usually kind of get it right. And that's chaos, right? So the opposite of culture is chaos. So what sort of things throw a service department into chaos is another way to approach this, right?
Yeah.
Same
and I
sort
think
of thing.
that, it's almost easier to connect that dot.
Yeah.
It's like what causes chaos in
Agreed.
service department as opposed to the culture killers, but they're the same exact answers.
And so the first one I have here, the number one killer of culture in your service department is a guy that tells dad jokes all the time.
Yeah, that will confuse everyone. I mean, only 32% of people that receive dad jokes get them. So that's a huge problem.
Now we're doing science on this. Where you're standing out there asking people on the street.
Did you get that? No.
So funny.
But
so first one is no clear vision or intention. Like a lot of times there's no clear intention to be great. There's no clear intention to be good. There's no measurables. There's no scoreboard. We're just existing, right? And chaos breeds wildly. Like if you don't have intention, what happens is then you end up following the chaos all the time and you never know if you won or lost because there's no winning or losing. It's just you're putting out fires all day long and then you make it a habit to be a fireman. Like never thinking that you should fix the cause, you're just treating the symptom all the time, right?
you actually would go as far to have pride in the identity of being a fireman. Like whatever burns, I can go attack it.
Now, I'll give you an example of this, right? Is like, so we would talk about posting the numbers in the shop for the tech. So like, how many hours are we flagging? What's the efficiency? And invariably, the service manager will say, well, I can't put the numbers up in the shop. That might hurt somebody's feelings.
It really only hurts a couple of people's
feelings. It's a
feelings.
production facility and you don't want to track production.
That's right.
You have no intention or vision whatsoever. Like that doesn't even make sense. It's not logical. And so that's the kind of person where techs are quitting. There's always heat, there's always fire, and then they're just putting out fires all the time. And the culture is broken. It's just chaos. If you don't have a scoreboard and you don't have a vision of, hey, to be a tech here, we want to be the best. And to be the best, we're constantly looking for those edges, right? Like you see this in football all the time. Like there's just certain teams that never win and never will win. And it starts at the top. It's usually the ownership. And there's no clear, like the ones that want to win a Super Bowl, like if the coach isn't winning, they fire the coach. Like it is what it is.
That's right. You know what one of my favorite things about football is, and from a parody standpoint? And this is where it makes me feel like the things like the culture and the rules and the expectations matter the most, is that I don't believe that being a major market for a football team has anything to do with winning. It's one of the few sports like that, right? Like you wouldn't expect that Kansas City is not New York, it's not Chicago, it's not LA, but Kansas City's won a lot of Super Bowls. I think it's very interesting that is actually all about culture.
Yeah, and I think too, like a part of that with the NFL is the salary cap, the way they split everything, like the basic fundamentals of that business are the reason why it does so well.
Yeah, so success
look at baseball, it's completely the opposite. You just have the have and the have-nots.
That's right. Success is basically attributed to leadership.
And execution, yeah.
And I love it. I love that part. Whereas with baseball, I mean, and my favorite team is just as guilty of this as anybody, is that they can just buy a championship if they want to.
Yeah, and you could be a great leader, but if you don't have the payroll, you'll overperform from where the team would have been, but you're probably not winning a World Series.
That's right.
So the no clear vision and intention, and then no standards or measurement, right?
I like that. Kind of along the lines of Law and Order. I call them like where they're suggestions, not rules. Like we're talking about a constant murder line of performance. And in most places when we go in, it's like depends on the month or the mood, whether or not we hold people to the rules that we have in place.
Oh, yeah.
And I always think that's so interesting. Like the example that I'll give, and I do this sometimes with the clients, so you're hearing this again, but I always think it's so freaking interesting that if I go up to an advisor and I basically say like kind of what's the road to the sale or whatever you would want to call it from an advisor standpoint, like what are the steps of taking care of a customer when they come in, they can tell me. And then I'll watch them walk out and not do any of the stuff that they just told me. And like these people can make so much money. And then I'll be talking to a manager about this because he's like, oh, I can't get my people to do walkarounds, for instance. And then I'll be like, okay, but if you and I go to Chick-fil-A right now and I say thank you to the person that's taking my order and they don't say my pleasure, what happens? The manager's like, oh, they get in big trouble. I'm like, exactly. For $14 an hour. Like, they can't be suggestions. It's not just that if you would please do this thing. It's like, no, this is the way that we conduct business.
Yeah.
The level of commitment that you have to excellence is a price that people don't want to pay to be amazing.
And it starts with the management and the leadership.
Yeah.
You should show me a manager that shows up late for work. All his people show up late for work.
Yep.
It's just how it is.
Yeah, another thing that kind of pops into my head too is like if you're really trying to gauge where you're at with that, is that I've got a little saying is that employees perform to the level of our tolerance.
Yeah, I love that.
Want me to do another one?
Yeah.
So another one, this is kind of along the same lines, but I do consider it a little bit different because it's a like a fear tolerance almost, and I call that your toxic performers. The people that get you really, really good numbers, but they do it by breaking all of the rules that you have, setting terrible examples for your team. I think the person, this happened to me in my shop, and you were part of this whole thing way, way back when, but I had a guy that was he would book 60 or 70 hours a week. And he was constant, always doing good things. But there was just something like his moral compass didn't point directly north. And I remember we caught him like he fudged brake measurements on a used car. And the kind of the conversation that we had internally was like, well, if he's done this on this, how many other things has he done? Right. So we were pretty resolute that there was no other option. And the first thing that that I think we got asked was, well, what are we going to do to replace his production if we let him go? And I don't see where that has a vote. But sometimes you make excuses because you're afraid of what's going to happen, with somebody producing, if it's a tech that produces a lot or an advisor that produces a lot. So the funny punchline to that joke is what happens every time we let go of our toxic performer?
Usually the numbers go up.
It's so weird, isn't it?
Yeah, it is weird. I remember many times firing the top advisor, the top tech, and the numbers went up.
Didn't Vicky do that a couple of times?
Yeah.
I think of her a lot when I think about this conversation. But if you're
being late, she fired him.
Yeah, if you're allowing toxic performers in your business, you're relinquishing control. It's leading more towards that chaos. So
then I think with that is low performers. Like if you tolerate low performance and you don't have measurements, that ruins your culture too. Because if it's okay to be indifferent and just be a Charlie Brown, just kind of get through the day. If it's okay not to care about customers and be passionate about what you do, then that's contagious because that will set the marker.
What's funny?
You're only as strong as your weakest link in a lot of ways.
I agree with that. But also, how often do you find it where you have you almost always find this in a shop where you've got a toxic performer and a habitual lower performer. Like they cancel each other out to be even, and like you tolerate both because you have the other. Like you need the toxic performer because you have a low performer that can't produce. And then it just makes sense that those two things kind of go hand in hand. All right. Let's see. Another thing I've got down here is there's no creativity. We're not trying to do things different or better.
Yeah, and I would say the intentionality drives creativity. If you're intentional about being great, then you're forced to be creative, right?
Yep.
Because to get there, you have to try different things and think of things in a different way.
Yeah, a really good example that you use all the time is when you're talking to people about CSI. So, when do you want me to do this?
Yeah.
Yeah. So my favorite thing is when Chris is talking to somebody and they're talking about their CSI, and they usually give him, let's say that the district average is 91. They'll be like, "Oh, I'm 0.2 over district average," and then Chris will ask this question that just kind of like they've never thought of that before, and he says, "Well, why aren't you number one in the country?" And
how much more effort does it take to be number one versus number one in your market?
It's so amazing.
It's not that much. No,
right?
It's the same.
So that's my favorite kind of thing about CSI is that like all of the scores, like average is whatever, and it depends on the brand, but average is 91 and the best in the world is 99. Like you're only 8 points away. You've done 91 of the 99 points.
Yeah. It's just intentionality,
but you never thought about it from the other side that you could be that. The only thing that's missing is that you have to manufacture and make sure that like you're creating an experience where everybody's giving you 100. We have Coach James that works for us, and so famously, I think it might've been on a podcast, but he's like, "Yeah, I don't remember the last time that advisor didn't get 100 in a month." Like it had been years since he had one of his advisors have a non-perfect survey. He just didn't know what to.
Well, yeah, he was number one in the country many times.
Yeah, he just kept
for
winning.
CSI.
Yeah, so he got a lot of responses back, and they were always good.
We had two that they would go back and forth in the group.
Yeah, it's so fun. The other thing I think that is a killer of culture is as the leader is chasing symptoms.
So give him an example, but I agree 100%. But what do you mean?
Yeah, so an example of that would be is you get a phone call from an angry customer, and they let's say that they had their car in for service and we didn't fix it right. And they would actually bring the car back in and pay another technician to do the job and never figure out what was missed in the first place. All they do is focus on how fast can I get it fixed and back to the customer, which is important, but they're never figuring out what happened in the first place that we didn't fix the car right out of the gate.
Yeah, they're not tracking comebacks. They're not, they're not addressing it. They're allowing that to happen.
Yeah, it's just that they consider that like a normal part of business.
Cost of doing business.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The truth of the matter is a comeback to me is I call them gold nuggets of crap. Did you know that?
No.
Yeah. So I think
Terrible name. But
thank you. But I think the comeback to me, if there was ever a screw up that was a gift, that's it. Because what I can do is I can, one, fix the problem, and two, like there's a world where we have a comeback and a customer leaves and they'll never go anywhere else for service.
Yeah.
Like all you need is that second chance. Like I'm good normally, but when something happens and needs to get addressed, we're the best of the best.
Yeah. Some of the best customers that still to this day will reach out to me, I became close to because there was a problem.
There's no doubt in my mind.
And how we handle the problem is a big deal. It's a way to endear. People will forgive it if you dramatically overreact, make a big deal, listen to them.
The second that
empathy.
the second you know that they know that you care. And then one of my favorite ones on here is they're just trying not to get in trouble versus trying to get ahead.
Yeah.
That kills your culture.
Playing not to lose instead of playing to win.
Yeah.
The other one that I had is blame. Like blame will kill your culture. Like if you're blaming the market, like if you're making excuses and not using any sort of, hardship as a reason to get better, you're using it as an excuse to justify underperformance. That externalization of control, that blame game is cancer. And it ruins your culture quicker than anything.
Yep. Yeah. If you want to fix this tomorrow, you would take a piece of paper and write down every disadvantage you guys have in your marketplace, in your dealership, with your team, with your customers. Write down every disadvantage that you've got and force yourself to flip those into advantages. That's the way to start thinking about it the other way. And, you've talked a lot about closed loop systems. So many of our service managers that work in the industry today, they just don't want to get noticed. They're on that little hamster wheel spinning around, hoping that nothing changes, which then kind of leads into creativity. And, I think that's just the thing is that, like, it's not that we're trying to win or lose. It's that winning is never even on the table.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Just that.
Yeah.
Good stuff. I like that.
Fun
I like
combo.
that list. Yeah. Well, thanks everybody. We'll see you at Top Dog. Look out for your drumsticks in the mail too. We'll see you next time on Service Drive Revolution. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Service Drive Revolution. We're uploading new stuff every day, so make sure you subscribe and click the bell icon so you don't miss out. If you have a question you'd like us to answer on the show, call 8333-ASK-SDR and we'll answer your question on the show. That's 8333-ASK-SDR. For special deals on our books and training, head over to offers.chriscollinsinc.com. Now that's offers.chriscollinsinc.com. I'm Chris Collins, and I'll see you in the next video.